it's a treatise called A Treatise on Arrests and False Imprisonment by Charles A. Wiseman. And we're going to get started on page 5. We'll start on page 3, definition of false imprisonment. And I'll go ahead and start reading. So it says, what constitutes false imprisonment? False imprisonment consists of any type of unlawful restraint or interference with the personal liberty of an individual. It basically involves an unlawful violation of the liberty of another. The ancient English legal scholar Henry de Bracton, 1200 to 1268, tells us that false imprisonment is one of the oldest violations of rights known. Forcefully to deprive a man of freedom to go wheresoever he may is clearly a trespass. False imprisonment was indeed one of the first trespasses recognized by the common law. So what I wanted to say is that one of the things, or 3 of the things that we're going to be identifying during these reads is basically how to tell a conversation from a detention and from an arrest, and how to stay calm and get home. So that is what we're going to talk about. And I learned in a book that I read. It's actually on my YouTube channel, and I'll actually go and find that and share it in the chat one day. But in one of those books, it talks about being wise as a serpent, but soft or gentle as a dove. So that's kind of how we always want to, maintain ourselves. Be wise, but calm or gentle. Because we know that kindness always kills hate. So moving forward, false imprisonment is classified as a tort under the common law, and is also a crime. It has been labeled as a tort, a trespass, an assault, a wrong, a damage, and an injury, giving one cause to bring suit against another for a remedy. Depriving a person of their liberty is legally no different than depriving a person from their property. A theft of liberty is a wrong by which remedy can be held, just as is the case with the theft of property. False imprisonment is a great offense due to the high regard the law has for liberty. In Chitty's practice of law, it states, the infraction of personal liberty has ever been regarded as one of the greatest injuries. The injuries to liberty are principally termed false imprisonment or malicious prosecutions. Unlawful detention or deprivation of liberty is the basis of an action for the tort of false imprisonment. Actual seizure or the laying on of hands is not necessary to constitute an unlawful detention. Thus, the only essential elements of the action are 1, detention or restraint against one's will, and 2, the unlawfulness of such detention or restraint. In his treatise on the law of torts, Judge Cooley states, false imprisonment is a wrong akin to the wrongs of assault and battery, and consists in imposing by force or threats and unlawful restraint upon a man's freedom of locomotion. Blackstone, in his commentaries on the law, states on this matter, every confinement of the person is an imprisonment, whether it is to be in a common prison or in a private house or in the stocks, or even by forcibly detaining one in the public streets. So let me stop there because, like I said, I've been watching numerous of videos over the past couple of weeks of people just being approached by the police. They could either be pulled over, or some people have been just sitting in their car in a private establishment or at home in front of their house, and the police will approach them and will force them to talk to them. And one of the things that, like, I just watched a video today, one of the things that we have to start doing is not talking so much, because we can kind of talk ourselves into getting arrested. So they tell you that you have the right to remain silent. Anything that you say can and will be used against you for a reason. And a lot of times they're not telling you that until probably they put you in handcuffs, but they probably should be saying that immediately when they approach you, because the simple fact is, as I've stated before, and we're going to continue reading and learning, that if you haven't been witnessed committing a crime, which a crime is the actual harm of somebody, then that is not a crime, and they have no right to even approach you, and they can't force you to talk to them. So the minute that they do, then that is a violation of your rights, because for one, they don't have a warrant. So let's continue moving on. Thus, any type of detainment or confinement of a person, or restriction or deprivation of their liberty or freedom of locomotion, where he is compelled to remain where he does not wish to remain, or to go where he does not wish to go, is an imprisonment. So, like I said, if they forcing you to talk to them, that's imprisonment. I don't care what no case law says. I don't care what no statute says. I don't care what a police officer says, a judge or anything. I don't care what Donald Trump says. It's false imprisonment. Okay? So, in describing false imprisonment as being the unlawful restraint of the liberty of the citizen or of the primary right of freedom of locomotion, the Supreme Court of Idaho also stated, imprisonment is any restraint of the personal liberty of another, and prevention of his movements from place to place, or his free action according to his own pleasure and will. It is false imprisonment when this is done without lawful authority. In reviewing several textbook definitions on false imprisonment, the Supreme Court of North Carolina stated, false imprisonment is the unlawful and total restraint of the liberty of the person. The imprisonment is false in the sense of being unlawful. The right violated by this tort is freedom, or freedom of locomotion. It belongs historically to the class of rights known as simple or primary rights. The theory of law is that one interferes with freedom of locomotion of another at his own peril. A rather complete description of what does and does not constitute false imprisonment was given by the Supreme Court of Kansas as follows. False imprisonment is necessarily a wrongful interference with the personal liberty of an individual. The wrong may be committed by words alone, or by acts alone, or by both, and by merely operating on the will of the individual, or by personal violence, or by both. It is not necessary that the individual be confined within a prison or within walls, or that he be assaulted or even touched. It is not necessary that there should be any injury done to the individual's person or to his character or reputation. Nor is it necessary that the wrongful act be committed with malice or will. So I want to stop there and talk about this individual's person, because I just want to reiterate, because this was taught to me by Eric, who emphasizes as well about the difference, or knowing who we are, and knowing that we are spirit. We are not this body. We are not this flesh. Okay, so the very essence of us is consciousness, and we are consciousness inside of a body. So that's when it says, injury done to individuals, person. So that's what we have to understand. Like, our body is our person. We are not a person, and our body is our person. Okay. Where did I stop at?
Can I say something?
Absolutely.
So I had another situation. Officer popped up at my door, and he was knocking. I ain't looking through the peephole. I just opened the door. He was about to tape a notice on my door. And he said, are you so-and-so? I said, no, I'm not. He said, does so-and-so live here? I said, I know of him. He said, could you give this to so-and-so? I said, that's not my name on that document. I am not accepting that document, because you're going to go and say to your people that document was delivered and you handed it to that person when I'm not that person. So I'm not taking the document. He's like, you can so. I said, by law, I cannot, because I'm not that person. He said, well, I'm just going to keep coming back until I get that person. And then he lifted his head up and walked away. I got an ugly look on his face. I was like, okay, that's fine. But I ain't accepting that document. Because for one, I'm not that person. And for two, I'm not that person.
Okay. And I'm glad you brought that up about him saying, I don't know if the individual that they were looking for was actually you or your name or whatever. But one of the things we also have to understand is that even the name, even if he was looking for, let's just say it was your name, the name that your mother gave you, whatever, on that document, even though your name or your likeness is on that document, the person that they're looking for is not you. And they know that, but they're trying to more than likely get us to accept surety for the person. Now, the person that they are looking for is that all caps name. But like I said, they're trying to get you to accept surety and liability for that all caps name. So you actually did the right thing by saying, even if it wasn't for you, that you're not that person. So you did the right thing. That was definitely the right thing to do because we are not that person. If anything, we're like the authorized representative of that person, if anything. But they don't even need to know that. They don't even need to know our names. Like it's not their right. And one of the things that like I said, I've been watching videos of the like crazy, but like the the police are adamant about identifying yourselves. Like if you don't give them your name, they will try to coerce you into giving you their name, date of birth, and all this, or identifying yourself with a ID or a driver's license or anything like that, which you are not required to do if you have not committed a crime, if they have not witnessed you commit a crime.
Real quick, guys, I have a testimony to what you just said. So I had a
Absolutely.
situation. I had a situation that I got pulled over. Now, remind you, it was kind of in the beginning of me learning all of this. So I was just kind of like taking a shot at, whatever. And we didn't have plates on our car. We had temp tags, but the officer pulled us over, and we was like, and I stepped up and I was like, no, by law, whatever you're trying to pull us over for, the reasoning why you say you pulled him over for by Supreme Court case law, and I told him the exact case law. We do not have to drive with plates on our car or travel with plates on our car. We're going from A to B in a private capacity, not conducting any commerce activities. And he said, "You're right, but you have to take that up with your governors and your senators." And then, so after that situation, this particular cop removed our temp tags from the car because I guess it's here they have to seize them once they're expired. So some weeks went by, I get pulled over again. And, he's, oh, you need to identify yourself because we need to make sure you're not driving a stolen car. I'm like, no, this car's not stolen. It's registered to this man. My fiance was there. However, he was in a different vehicle. And like the guy that said, they force you so hard to identify. I did not identify myself to this man to the points where like he started threatening to tow our truck. We got our babies screaming and hollering in the background, and my fiance just gave in. He said, you know what, I don't want my vehicle towed, so he just gave them my information, which is fine. But I also want to keep people in mind that when you're dealing with officers and you're lost and you have people with you that's just not, comfortable or just don't know, they can get you in more trouble by speaking on something they know nothing of. So it's best like you tell them to just be quiet and let me handle it.
Yes, that is so true. I was just telling my husband because we were just watching a video about an hour ago, and it was a man in a car with his wife, and they had somebody in the back seat with them. Apparently, they was at a gun shop or whatever. So the cop came up to them or whatever, and I guess the story was that the person in the back seat was going back and forth inside of the gun store, asking questions, and then coming back out. So the people in the store called the police on them. Told them that they seen it's something suspicious seems to be going on with this particular car and person or whatever, and they were saying that I guess they were trying to accuse them of straw purchase, which is purchasing a weapon for someone who's not legally able to carry a firearm or whatever. So the guy was talking a little bit too much for me. He was saying a little bit too much. He was doing a little bit too much, which kind of made him look suspicious. But the people, his wife and the person in the back started talking, like you say, trying to get them to comply and stuff like that. And he was telling them, like, just be quiet, let me talk. They kept interrupting him, like, why can't I talk? Why can't I assert my rights and stuff like that? And I was just telling my husband, I said, I wish I would be in a car with somebody and they telling me to shut up because I'm gonna be so pissed. And it's like, I know my family, because they so scary. I'm like, just do what they say or whatever. And I'm not ready for none of that, because don't stop me from asserting my rights at all. Like, I don't like stuff like that. I don't like scary people. Like, we just got to get out of this fear. And the way that we get out of fear is to uplift ourselves with knowledge and the application of knowledge and wisdom, because like, we can't be living in fear. God didn't give us the spirit of fear to be afraid of these people. Like, they don't have no authority over us whatsoever. So absolutely, I thank you for that testimony. I don't even know where I left off reading it, honestly. I think we left off here. False imprisonment exists not only by words or acts that one fears to disregard, but also by such acts as and measures that he cannot disregard. No fear of disobedience need to exist. See, like I'm just saying, like, why we fear? If someone causes a situation that makes it impossible for another to exercise their liberty or locomotion, it is a false imprisonment. False imprisonment is the name of the category for those torts that unlawfully deprive or interfere with the liberty of a person. Under this category, the unlawful arrest is the most common type of wrong committed. Another common way in which a wrong of this nature occurs is by unlawful detention of a person in a room, jail, or other location. Definitions of false imprisonment usually come from unlawful restraints of this nature. False imprisonment has been well defined to be a trespass committed by one man against the person of another by unlawfully arresting him and detaining him without any legal authority. The law sets such a high value upon the liberty of the citizen that even an attempt to unlawfully arrest is esteemed a great provocation. All the authorities agree that an arrest may be made either with or without any physical force or actual touching by the officer. Thus, any illegal restraint of one's personal liberty by the act of another gives that person a cause of action for false imprisonment against the one causing the illegal restraint. Prima facie, any restraint put by fear or force is unlawful. And they be like literally telling you, I'm giving you a lawful order to show me your license. Like, that ain't no lawful order. Like, what is you talking about? Like, they be so adamant about it too. It's so funny. This shit be pissing me off. Like, this shit is crazy. False imprisonment is necessarily a wrongful interference with the personal liberty of an individual, usually made by an arrest. Any physical custody or restraint is not essential to the effectuation of an arrest. So if an officer tells a person that he is under arrest and he thereupon submits himself to the officer going with him and obeying his orders, such person is deprived of his liberty. And if the act of the officer is unlawful, it is false imprisonment. In all cases in which there is no physical touching or seizure, nor any resistance, the intentions of the parties to the transaction are to be considered. In such a case, there must have been intent on the part of one of them to arrest or restrain the other, and intent on the part of such other to submit. Under the belief and impression that submission was necessary. The following definitions will provide further insight into the nature and elements of false imprisonment. False imprisonment is the unlawful restraint by one person of the physical liberty of another, and as here used, the word false seems to be synonymous with unlawful. Any exercise of force or expressed or implied threat of force by which, in fact, the other person is deprived of his liberty, compelled to remain where he does not wish to remain, or go where he does not wish to go, is an imprisonment. False imprisonment is the unlawful arrest or detention of a person without warrant or by an illegal warrant or a warrant illegally executed. So that's what I was saying. They literally, before you can even be approached, they have literally have to go before a magistrate, and a witness has to have made a verified complaint against you in order for a warrant to even be issued, for them to even come out and try to arrest you. Okay. Any restraint, however slight, upon another's liberty to come and go as he pleases constitutes an arrest. Length of time requirements. The tort or wrong of false imprisonment occurs the instant that one is restrained in the exercise of their liberty. There is no unreasonable length of time for a restraint before the tort can be claimed. False imprisonment at common law and elsewhere consists in unlawful detention of the person of another for any time whereby he is deprived of his personal liberty. where two people are traveling in a car and stopped by police, and the party not driving is put in the police car and told to wait. The officer doing so is guilty of false imprisonment. Even though the person was in the police car for less than a minute, it was an arrest, as the officer had no authority for confining him in the car. Even where police officers stop a moving vehicle for a brief detention, it is sufficient to constitute an arrest. Where one is told to stay in their car by an officer, though it be for only 10 seconds, it is an arrest. Time duration is not a factor in making an arrest. False imprisonment is defined as an act which directly or indirectly is a legal cause of confinement of another within boundaries fixed by the actor for any time, no matter how short in duration, makes the actor liable to the other. When one is approached by an officer and questioned about his identity and actions, this is only an accosting, not an arrest. Damages and liability. One who interferes with another's liberty of locomotion does so at his own peril. All who do so without unlawful authority can be sued for the trespass upon liberty and loss of time. It thus is a very serious thing to deprive a person of their liberty, since false imprisonment is a wrong suffered by a person that is entitled to receive a remedy for damages. Not only is a person entitled to receive a remedy for the deprivation of his liberty, but also for any other damages that are a result of that deprivation. I've been seeing a lot of people getting paid too. False imprisonment was an indictable offense at common law, and relief by party aggrieved was obtained by an action for trespass, be it armis with force and arms. The illegal arrest of a person without a warrant or under an invalid warrant entitles him to compensation for the damages sustained by reason of the false or unlawful imprisonment. The general rule of damages in cases of false imprisonment is that the person causing a wrongful imprisonment is liable for all the natural and probable consequences thereof. The plaintiff is entitled to recover damages for what the party wrongfully did. In Murphy versus Countess, 1 here, Dale 143, in an action for trespass, assault and battery, and false imprisonment, the court held that the plaintiff could recover not merely for the time the constable was bringing him to jail, but for the whole period of his imprisonment. And in Mandeville versus Guernsey, the court said the arrest being wrongful, the defendant is liable for all injuries, consequences to the plaintiff, which resulted directly from the wrongful act. Unlawful interference with or injuries to the liberty of a citizen is a violation of his natural, inherent, and absolute rights, which damages results as legal consequences. So we're going to stop there for tonight. Now, let me see. I got to pull my lesson up. So one of the things that I wanted to basically just go over is, like, when we are dealing with the courts, we definitely, our goal, like we discussed the other night, is to make it home. Like, we want to make it home at the end of the day. We're not trying to go and be detained or locked up overnight or for 3 days, however long they think they can hold us. We want to go home. We got kids to take care of. We got jobs to go to, or whatever the case may be. It's not their business anyways. We have the right to liberty. Okay, so asserting your rights, you just want to, when you are approached by the police, you always want to remain calm. Just always remain calm. And one of the first things that you want to do is pull out your phone and start recording. Because one of the things that you want to have is your own evidence. You can't always rely upon their body cams. And even now, so you see more people getting their own body cams or cam recorders for their vehicles, because the police are just outright crazy nowadays, where if you don't have some type of recording device that can be turned on immediately whenever something like this happens, then you're doing yourself an injustice. So you always want to have, pull out your phone and start recording, or go live or something, and have extra witnesses. And the next thing that you want to do is just know that now is your time to, like I said, collect evidence. Remain calm. Keep your mind and focus on you're going home. And the next thing is that things that you want to say to the police officer are such things like, am I free to leave or am I free to go? That's basically all that you want to say. Are you free to go? You don't want to start arguing semantics with them. You don't want to have court on the side of the road because it just escalates the issue. The minute you start showing them up or making them look dumb as they are for even pulling you over, they're going to start escalating the issue. I've been watching it over and over and over again. So that's just one of the things that you want to make sure that you do. And then just know that whatever happens to you, that you can always pursue your remedy later in court, no matter what happens. So you never want to give them a reason to escalate the issue. At the end of the day, they have a certain amount of time that they are supposed to be writing you an infraction ticket or whatever the case may be and let you get the hell on. Like, they're not supposed to be confiscating your vehicles, your property, asking you to search your vehicle, asking you for ID. None of that stuff matters, especially even if you ran a red light or didn't stop at a stop sign. You did not commit a crime. And those, just remember, not stopping at a stop sign is not a crime, and it's a commercial infraction. So one of the things that they have to prove at the end of the day is that you're in commerce. If you're not in commerce, they had really no reason to really be, interacting with you. You're not in commerce. So that's one of the things when you, go for pursuing your remedy, you want to make sure that, you assert that, prove that you were in commerce. Prove that you were operating for hire. You were transporting people for hire. You were transporting goods or services, whatever the case may be. You were making some type of Federal Reserve note for your services or whatever the case may be. And 9 times out of 10, we're not doing that. That's mostly, commerce is really for like people that are door dashing or doing Uber and Lyft, or for truck drivers. That's more so what commerce is. And so we are not in commerce and we are not drivers. And so, I've seen a lot of videos, and I'm going to start putting some of these videos or sharing some of these videos in the chat so that you guys can start, getting an idea of how you need to interact with the police as well. But one of the things that I can't even remember what I was about to say, but let me just keep on going on. Let's see. You want to always. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Accident, the lady said that in California, we just exchange information and file it on each other's insurance. We don't have to get the police involved. She said that's how they operate in California.
Technically that is. Especially like for your situation, and that's what I was going to ask you. You mentioned that, so when the police showed up, was the other vehicles that were involved in the accident, were they present?
One drove off, but the other one was there present with me.
Okay, so was this the person that caused the accident or the one that you rear-ended?
The one that I rear-ended.
So the other person drove off.
Uh-huh.
So they basically saying, wow. So they basically telling you that because the person that rear-ended you wasn't there, they're trying to blame the incident for the other person on you.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Well,
and because of my
I know they got traffic cams. So at the end of the day, one of the things you're going to have to do is definitely get the traffic cams. Request access to, when you go to court, you have to do a motion for discovery of the traffic cams so that you can review the evidence or whatever. So I don't know, like if you're in your area, they have traffic cams, but I know they've been putting them up everywhere. And a lot of times we don't even know that traffic cams are around, but this even how they've been catching a lot of these, people that's killing and that's actually committing crimes. It's through traffic cams and stuff like that. So, That's one of the things that you can definitely request when you do take it to court.
Mhm. But where I was located, it was coming out the interstate, so it really wasn't no cameras in that section, and it was wooded. So I was looking as I was coming through the light. It was wooded, and
Mhm.
CVS was up on the corner, so it really wasn't no cameras where I was. I was looking. And it's like
Okay.
a up and coming exit, like in
Mhm.
Columbia, tearing down all the trees and everything. But on that exit, they're still building it up. Coming from
Gotcha.
Columbia. Yeah. So I was looking
So
up.
what was the person that you hit? What did they? I mean, what was their stance? What was they saying?
She was like, I don't know what happened. I'm from California, and are you okay? We don't know what's going on. We're not from here. We just rent a car and going to my baby's baby shower. And did someone hit you so you can hit me, or what happened? The guy
Mhm.
in front of her wasn't going, and the light was green. So she said, I did move up again a little bit. And I said, yes, ma'am, I moved up too. And when I started moving, the other car hit me in the back to push me on forward into you. So she was like, yeah. And then after everything happened between us, that's when the car in the front wanted to take off and go through the green light. But he hesitated like 3 minutes or a minute. Like, he hesitated. He did not go. Like, I could have counted to 10 and he was still at that light.
Wow. So do you have damage to the rear end of your vehicle?
My car is a truck, so it ain't no damage. I had a hitch and everything, so it's not no visible damage because I got metal bumpers, and then the bumper that hit her it's just smushed in the front. It's not damaged. It's just smushed in. So
Mhm.
my truck really didn't take a hit at all like that.
Mm.
But they truck
Just-
took a hit because they were in a SUV, a CRV 5 or
mhm.
something. Yeah.
Well, like you said, it's all about how you want to handle it. If you want to, most people just pay the fines and get it over with and take the no points or whatever. But for me, I'm not capitulating. I'm not a person that capitulates.
Right.
So, like, I probably would take it all the way. But um, most definitely, if the other party is not coming up against you, and you, like you said, you guys are just sharing
But
insurance
they did
information,
talk.
which is
They talked to the insurance company, and then
mhm.
I was on the phone the other day. They said the other party did go to the hospital, but they talked to the insurance company and told the insurance company that they was okay, and they didn't feel like going to the hospital. I was like, wow, that was crazy.
Wow, okay. Well, well, that happened to me before. I was rear-ended, and I didn't go to the hospital right away either. And I was pregnant at the time, but my injuries started activating as my pregnancy progressed, and I got to the point where I couldn't even walk.
Mhm.
But I had real bad damage to the back of my truck. I was rear-ended by like a day cab semi truck.
Mhm.
So, but like you say, you kind of got two different issues, like I said, because you got that ticket. So it's really about fighting the ticket. It's not even the accident at this point. So we'll definitely have to figure out how you're going to do that if you want to move forward with fighting it.
Okay.
Figure out how to go about doing that. But did anybody else have anything they wanted to ask or share? I'm going to be putting a and study guide in the chat for you guys to study and continue reading. We'll definitely come back next week and do some more reading from these literatures so we can continue learning about how to assert our rights and knowing, what our rights are. But then next week, we'll do a quiz on the study guide and see what you guys are picking up on. Other than that, if nobody has any questions or want to share anything, then I will end the class for tonight. I'll let you all go. I hope you guys enjoyed uh, class this evening. It was definitely a little different.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
No, not a problem. So with that being
Thank
said,
you.
I'm sorry.
No, I said same sis, and of course, peace, love, and light. I think my kid's pushing me to go to bed.
Okay. Well, peace, love, and light, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your all's evening. I thank you all for showing up today. And oh, I hope it's okay. I was wondering, I was thinking about putting this class on my YouTube channel, if that's okay with everyone.
Most definitely, got you. Yes,
Okay.
yes, that's
Yeah,
good.
just try to get us some, get us some more members and things like that to continue growing the membership of the community, and also just to get the information out there at the same time. So I appreciate you all. And like I said, you guys have a great rest of your evening.